an opening, broad kind of look at all the things you need to do to prepare for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Now we're going to get a little more specific, bringing on John from Helpflow to talk about live chat. John, how's it going?
It's going well, Derek. Glad to be back, man. This year went by quick. It feels like we were just doing this presentation last year.
Yeah, man, I bet you're ramping up right now with staff and training and really preparing. And probably you have to talk a lot with your clients about what they're doing for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Make sure you're aligned with them, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we got a whole process. This will be our sixth or seventh Black Friday. I think technically sixth. And our process is strong. It gets stronger and stronger every year. And the team is just ready for it. The agents are ready. The ops team's ready. So we're ready to rock.
That's awesome. All right. I'm going to add your slides to the screen. I'm going to let you prove to everybody why it's so important to be using live chat at the right stages of the business. I'll let you take it away, John.
Awesome. So I'll jump straight into it. Black Friday is hard every single year, right? It is competitive. It's difficult. It's complicated. And so it's just a difficult time of year to make work, but it's also super important. And the reason why it's hard, I mean, part of the game is traffic, right? You need to drive traffic all year, but traffic's expensive. Facebook this year, Facebook with iOS 14 is a whole nother story. It's hard to drive good traffic, right? At any time of year, but Black Friday in particular, it's even harder. But if you look deeper, abandons are really a huge part of the problem. 50% of the people that start the checkout process, if you look at your data, are going to abandon, right? So like 1 in 2 people that start the checkout process are going to abandon. And some of those happen really, really deep in the checkout process. I'm going to be digging into some of that today. And you're probably already doing, cart recovery emails. Maybe you're doing some SMS stuff in your recovery efforts. But those just aren't enough to really save abandons because those people already left. They're already gone, and you're trying to get them back, right? You're trying to pull them back into the site, literally with emails and SMS. But if you can predict abandons before they happen, then you can save a lot of those people. And that's what we're going to dig into today, is basically how to do that, how to predict abandons. The case study that we're going to use today, I want to walk you through some details about these guys so you can understand, for your own site, how serious the problem of abandons really is, so you can see what's possible when you save them. So this particular site is a makeup and skincare brand, relevant to a very similar business model to most e-commerce stores, nothing fancy with what they're doing, but it's a makeup and skincare brand. They do a lot of sales. So they do $750K a month in sales, so significant revenue. But the reason why I use these guys as an example in these types of sessions is they have a lot of data throughout the whole funnel. And so the stuff that I'm going to share with you today scales down to smaller numbers as well. I just wanted to make sure we have the blessing of, a ton of data here to be able to know that it's valid. And then overall, the site performs pretty well already. So the conversion rate's pretty good. 3.9% is what I have in my notes. I think that's on the screen too as well. So 3.88%. Healthy average order value. Metrics are overall pretty good, is what I want you to get out of this. But if we look at the abandons, it's got a lot of abandons. So looking at this data, 22,000 people a month start the checkout process, but don't complete, right? That's what's on the left-hand side. 700 people a day. That's a lot of people that start the checkout process, but don't end up completing. It's actually more than the number that actually ends up purchasing. The number that ends up purchasing per month is at the bottom, 19,000. So more people are abandoning than are buying, right? So this data is based on analytics data, Google Analytics specifically, and we're viewing it in this way because we want to slice and dice this data to be able to look at it in different ways. So I understand that there's different views in Google Analytics. I understand that Shopify's got a pretty killer checkout report that goes through the whole funnel. We want to be able to slice and dice it in a number of ways. So we're using Google Analytics in a specific way. But bottom line here, lots of people abandoning, right? 22,000 people per month start the checkout process, but don't abandon. But what I want to show you also is that a lot of those abandon deep in the checkout process. And that's going to be the same as you slice and dice your own data. In this particular case, 22,000 people, I've got it over here on the screen, so I'll be pointing over there, but 22,000 people start the checkout but abandon. 6,600 get all the way to the payment page, but still abandon, right? So 30% of the people that abandon get to the payment page and then end up abandoning. And that can happen for a ton of reasons. It can be unexpected shipping costs. It could be, an objection that just kind of surfaces on the payment page, even though it was there before. There's a ton of reasons why people abandon. We'll get into how to save those in a minute. But a big chunk of people abandon on the payment page. In this case, it's $250,000 a month worth of sales abandoned literally on the credit card screen in Shopify in this case. So again, this is a big store. So like, you're probably not going to have $250,000 on the payment page abandoning, but you'll see 50% of the people that start checkout will abandon. 30 to 50% of those will be on the payment page. And it's really important that you focus on saving those. With that said, typical cart abandonment strategies aren't enough. You're probably sending cart abandonment emails. You absolutely should. And by the way, I'm going to go into at the end of the session a way that you can supercharge these emails. So if you're already doing cart recovery emails, great, you're ahead of the game. There's a way that you can supercharge those, which I'll get to at the end. But those aren't enough. Retargeting ads aren't enough. But you should be doing them, right? I know retargeting is different now with Facebook, but you should still be doing retargeting ads. But again, none of these address the fact that people abandon because they have questions. They don't abandon because they forgot that what they were doing on their screen, they had a brain fart. They don't, forget to buy, right? In most cases, they abandon because they had a question, something slowed them down. There was some friction, and it caused them to leave, right? They said, I'll come back later and deal with this, right? It can be a ton of types of questions, but that's why people abandon is questions. And live chat can be a really good way to answer these questions, both in, in the website, in the purchase experience, but also as part of abandoned cart emails and as part of your other cart recovery efforts. So I'll get to that in a second, but key thing I want you to understand is, people think of live chat as a customer service tool, which it is, but you can also use it to drive a lot of recoveries and save people from abandons. And so that's what I want to really show you the possibility of today. You can use it to drive a lot of sales. And so in this particular case, so this is data for what we see happen with actual clients. You could do a lot of the same yourself, maybe not all of it, but you don't need to use our service in order to save some of your abandons. But let's look at their numbers, right? There were 6,600 people per month that abandoned on the payment page. They already convert 3.88% of everybody, right? So all traffic that comes to the site, 3.8%, pretty solid. If you can save 20% of those payment abandons by engaging with them on chat, then it turns into a lot of sales. And 20% is totally reasonable because remember, these are people all the way at the end. They already picked the product. They already put it in their cart. They already said where they want it shipped. They already, in this client's case, they saw the shipping time because they have that as part of the flow. And they're on the payment page, right? So can we save 1 in 5 of those that for some reason abandoned on that screen? Probably so. In this particular case for this client, that turned into $50,000 a month, right? So 600 grand a year of additional revenue just by saving people that almost completed the purchase, right? So the scope of sales you can drive is super, super significant if you get it right. And that's what we're going to dig into today. Brief intro about us at helpflow.com. This is basically what we do. We provide 24/7 live chat teams to over 100 e-commerce stores. That means our team of agents actually answers visitors' questions and moves them through the purchase process and helps them to overcome whatever objections they have. We also can do a lot of customer service, but ultimately we're driving sales. And we're able to drive a lot of sales. We've driven millions of chats with these approaches, and we've driven over $100 million in tracked chat revenue over the last almost 6 years. We're coming up on 6 years now. So we've been able to use this stuff to drive a lot of results. And what I want to be able to do is just show you how to be able to do that. I want to show you how to be able to get similar results. So digging into it, there's really 3 places where live chat can drive a lot of sales and 3 places where you can use it to drive sales. One of those is the checkout process, which I already touched on. I'll go a little bit deeper in a second. Second one is product and category pages, right? And then the third one is in your email flows. So I mentioned I'm going to come back to that, and I will at the end. You can use live chat in emails to drive a lot more results. So I'll get into that. But let's start with the checkout process, right? We talked about some of the numbers earlier, but the overall goal of what you want to do with live chat is basically to predict if somebody's going to abandon and then engage with them automatically before they abandon. So predict they're going to abandon and then engage with them automatically before they abandon. And it sounds like rocket science to like, how are you going to predict people are going to abandon? It just requires use of your Google Analytics data and doing some modeling and triggering live chat greetings, which to me is simple because we've been doing it for 6 years, but you can do the same thing. So what you want to do is you want to identify patterns of the people that already abandoned in Google Analytics. So in Google Analytics, you can filter to say, only show me the people that abandoned. And then for those people that abandoned, analyze that data. What pages do they look at? How long do they stay on those pages? Where do they go back and forth between different pages? That's the key giveaway that somebody's going to abandon. What's the change in velocity between different pages? So how do they slow down as they go through the purchase process? Basically, what you're doing is you're looking at the people that abandon and saying, okay, this is what they do before they abandon. With that data, you can then track that for people that are actually on the site, track that somebody's starting to have that behavior, and then trigger a live chat greeting based on that. It's a little technical on how to do that, but the high level, if you want to nerd out on it after, is you get that data from Google Analytics initially. You track the data within Google Tag Manager and run some analysis in real time as they're on your site. And then once those rules get tripped in Google Tag Manager, you fire a greeting over to your live chat system and say, hey, do you have any questions I can help with? I just want to let you know I'm online, right? So that's essentially what you're doing, but you want to predict that somebody's going to abandon and then engage, and you can do that directly within the checkout process. I already talked about some numbers of like what you can drive by saving people in the checkout process. So I'm going to go straight into the next section. But that's one place where you can drive a lot of sales. If you're on Shopify Plus, I'll go back real quick. If you're on Shopify Plus, then this is super easy to do. If you're not on Shopify Plus, you're on normal Shopify, it's a little more complex. You're not technically able to do it in the checkout, but I can tell you for most sites that have a good baseline of revenue, this process alone pays for the additional cost for you to upgrade to Shopify Plus. So it's worth it to upgrade to Shopify Plus if you get this part right, because you'll save all those abandons. But the checkout process, that's the first place where live chat fits in. Second place is in highly engaged product viewers. So people that are super interested in the products, but not moving forward into the cart, right? How can you save those people? And so again, I'm going to use a different client in this particular case. And I want to be crystal clear. Somebody asked me this on another session. This is not the client that we showed data with earlier. So I want to be clear on that particular part. But imagine somebody looking at makeup and skincare products on this particular site, right? They've got a lot of categories, reasonably wide range of products. So they've got a lot of products here. And if you dig into a specific category, think of the visitor's experience, right? They're going to filter based on different criteria, based on color, those types of things. And they're scrolling up and down the page. You can track that stuff. And they don't move into the product page. So again, essentially what's happening in the background is you're tracking how long they're on the page. You're tracking their scroll depth. You're tracking the fact that they have not moved into the other product page. They haven't actually clicked through on anything. Right. And you're also tracking, inner page activity. So you're tracking the filters they're applying and all that type of stuff. You can invite them to chat here and offer to help them to find the right product, right? So you can track that they're starting to get confused and have them start a conversation with you, or you start with them and help them find the right product. One step further, if they do get to the product page, they're going to be looking at information. They're going to be configuring colors. They're going to be kind of looking at like, okay, maybe this is the right product, right? But they don't move into the checkout. So if they don't move into the checkout, but they're super engaged, you can track that by looking at the engagement in the product page. So for example, clicking on ingredients in this case, right? That opens up that section on the page. You can track those types of things. You can track scroll depth, like I already mentioned. You can track the engagement that they have, but the fact that they're not adding it to their cart or they're not saving it to their wish list. I don't think these guys have a wish list, but you can track that type of intent stuff as well. And again, engage with them and invite them to chat and save those sales. So there's a lot you can do. If you look at the data from the client that I shared earlier, again, these are not the same client, just to be crystal clear. But if you look at this data, they've got 350,000 visits per month to the site. 163,000 of those viewed a product but don't get to checkout. So it's good engagement, but it's not enough. It's one product page, right? 87,000 view at least 3 products but don't move into the checkout process. So they literally get to a product page, go back, get to a product page, go back, get to a product page, click to another product page, right? 3 separate product pages, and they don't move into the checkout process. you can save a ton of those before they abandon. And so basically, if you've got 87,000 people that view 3 products but don't check out, and you say, look, can we convert 2% of those, right? You're already converting 3% of everybody on the website. So can you convert 2% of people that look at 3 products but don't actually move into checkout? Probably so. I think that's fairly conservative. That turns into 1,700 purchases a year or $66,000 in additional revenue per month. So again, it's big, big dollars. This is 800 grand a year for this particular customer, right? And so in this case, again, in the product pages, super, super engaged people that are interested in products that don't move forward. If you connect with them, you can get a lot of them to buy. So there's a lot of good revenue opportunity here. Last place I want to touch on is email flows. So cart abandonment emails. I mentioned you can supercharge your cart recovery emails and your other email flows. And so I want to walk you through how that works. So for cart abandonment emails, most people, if you have a cart abandonment email right now, a sequence or just an email maybe, typically what you're going to see is it's a reminder, and then it's a discount, and then it's a Hail Mary discount, right? It's 3-part sequence, 5 days maybe, and it's a reminder, a discount, and a Hail Mary discount. That's basically what most of the flows are. You got to remember, like I said earlier, people didn't forget to complete the purchase in most cases. A discount is not necessarily needed to have them move forward. A lot of people do get conditioned to discounts. So I'm not saying don't offer a discount, but it's not solving the problem. People abandon because they have questions, right? And so one of the things that you can do is you can add live chat as a call to action in these emails. So rather than just saying, hey, you left something in your cart, you can still say that and show the product and do all those fancy things, right? But you can say, did you have a quick question? Click here to chat with our team. We're online 24/7. Or our agents are online now. If you have a quick question, click here, right? So they click that button, and then that opens up the live chat box on the website, opens it up automatically. The agent's already there. They're connected to the agent. The order's already there too, just like a normal abandoned cart email. And that enables you to basically answer those questions and get them to ultimately buy, right? So essentially what you're doing is you're turning these cart recovery emails into live conversations. You can do the same thing with SMS. If you're doing SMS and just sending out a message that's a broadcast, right? A reminder, discount, you're missing the boat on SMS. You want to turn those into conversations. That's also something that you can do essentially with live chat. And we haven't shared this with Derek yet, but that's something that we have ready for Q4 as well. Continuing the live chat experience from before they abandon to when they're abandoning on the site to the cart recovery emails and to SMS, making it real-time responses, lightning fast for all of those types of situations. And so again, if you're not using cart recovery emails, use them. But if you are, focus on answering visitors' questions by sparking up conversations. Then as you start to see what those objections are, you can feed that content back to the website. You can use that in your cart recovery emails, because not everybody's going to chat, but the insights you get from chat can be super powerful. So you want to use those to spark up conversations. That is the places where live chat fits in the checkout, the product abandons, and the email flows. I want to touch on real quick, though, some things that you want to be careful of if you're going to do live chat yourself. So we run 24/7 live chat teams. I mentioned that earlier. The cart recovery stuff I just mentioned, you can technically do it if you don't have a team online 24/7. It just gets messy because you kind of need to change the strategy. I'll go into that in Q&A if you guys are interested, but you kind of need a 24/7 live chat team to make this stuff work. You can run it yourself, but I want to make sure that you're aware of a couple mistakes that stores make that ultimately hurt your conversion rate. Live chat is a unique thing that it doesn't just, if you do it poorly, it doesn't just not work. It actually causes your conversion rate to go down, causes your conversion rate to be worse if you do it poorly, not just flat. And the reason for that is people that would have bought without the live chat being there get frustrated. They have friction in their purchase experience because of the live chat, and then they don't end up buying. So if you're going to do live chat yourself, super important to avoid these mistakes. Number one, don't use pre-chat forms. Most systems default to a pre-chat form. Most marketers want to get a bunch of information, But you don't want to use pre-chat forms because it doesn't make it easy for somebody to ask questions, right? You can get their name, you can get their email, you can get an understanding of what they're interested in, or pre-sale versus post-sale. Like, you can get all that in a conversation. But if you put a form in front of somebody, then you're going to cause a lot of people to start to want to chat by seeing the chat box. They click it, they see that friction, they go, oh, I don't want to give my email because then I'm going to get on the marketing list, right? And then they don't move forward, right? So you introduce friction with forms in any case, really. You don't want to do that in a pre-chat form. Also, I didn't mention this earlier, but when you chat with somebody, their conversion rate is going to be anywhere from 4 to 9 times higher because you had that conversation with them and you can have that personal experience. So you don't want to be blocking certain chats to happen. Every chat is worth your time if you actually measure it and look at the entire life cycle of how somebody experiences products and when they buy. If you chat with somebody at some point, that conversion rate is significantly higher down the line. So you don't want to introduce friction to bring down volume. Second thing is you need to respond really quickly. If you respond in more than like 10 to 12 seconds maximum to those messages that come in, it significantly drops the conversion rate for those people that engage. And so if you're using greetings to invite people to chat, which you absolutely should, because that's where most of your chats are going to come from, well-timed chat invites, then you want to make sure you're responding lightning fast. Because the worst thing that can happen is you predict abandons, right? You configure the chat greetings to show up at the right time. That chat greeting shows up and somebody goes, oh yeah, I had a question. I'm trying to buy this for my wife for her anniversary or something. And then nobody responds, right? It's perfect timing. It looks like a legit chat message. They're happy it's not a bot. They're happy there's not some form fill they have to do. And then, oh my God, there's nobody here, right? That is the worst thing that can happen. It'll destroy your conversion rate. So super important to respond really, really quickly. And then the last thing, and then we can get to some Q&A if we have time, or dig into a resource I want to share with you. Nights and weekends. Nights and weekends is when 50%, 40 to 50% of your traffic and sales is going to come outside of business hours, regardless of what niche you're in. Even B2B stuff, 50% of the sales, 40 to 50% of traffic and sales comes on nights and weekends. So not being there on nights and weekends 24/7, right, causes you to miss out on a lot of potential chat opportunities to save those sales. So I wouldn't necessarily say that's going to cause your conversion rate to go down because the chat's not there on nights and weekends, but it is super important to have that there. So if you're going to do live chat yourself, totally doable. I'd highly recommend every site have chat. Obviously, I'm biased, but hopefully for the reasons I've shown you here, like chat drives sales, you should do chat. If you're going to do it yourself, just make sure you don't make these mistakes. That's the most important thing. With that said, I know we covered, a lot of different things in this session. We put together a resource for you. I mentioned that this is our sixth Black Friday. We've seen a lot of ways to make Black Friday successful. Part of what I talked about is, predicting and saving abandons. That's a key part that goes in. We go into that in the guide. But one of the things we put together over the last couple of years is this Black Friday Cyber Monday blueprint, which is basically the result of seeing all of our clients' financial data over the years and saying, okay, like, what do the stores that do well on Black Friday seem to do? They have a certain timing for their ads and their email campaigns, right? So that's a key part, is like, when do you send out which offers and how do you sequence it all together? You don't just turn on the ads and send an email. Second, what's the right offer, right? Like, depending on the brand, what should the offer be for Black Friday? How do you do it in a way where it's going to entice people and, enable you to sell more product, but it's also not going to kill your margins, right? Or degrade the price integrity of the brand, right? So what's the perfect offer? We talk about the email and the ad sequence to use leading up. We talk about, upsells and retargeting and how to really maximize the sales. And then there's some moments that people have on their first couple Black Fridays where they go, oh my God, we will never do that part again. We've listed some of those in the guide as well. So it goes through those things. And then the last bullet point on here is the customer service part. Like I mentioned, we do live chat teams for a ton of stores. We also run customer service operations for a ton of stores. So that's a whole separate part of the business, but we run entire customer service teams for a lot of brands. And we've covered how to make sure customer service is done well during Black Friday and the time after that. So you can see the link on the screen, helpflow.net/BFCM2021. Great resource, and it'll enable you guys to get what you need to make Black Friday successful. For anybody else that's interested in digging into live chat, we're happy to have a conversation with you guys. Our sales process is super, super simple. We do with your data essentially what we just did on today's session. We look at where people abandon in your purchase process, how many people abandon, what the best approach is to save them on live chat. You could implement some of it yourself, and we make sure the ROI is a no-brainer. So if we're going to generate, if it's going to cost $2,000 a month to run with our service 24/7, we want to make sure we're going to produce, 10 grand a month, 12 grand a month, 15 grand a month. And we can guarantee that up front. So we always make sure that sales process is really, really good for clients. If you're interested in going into it, it's helpflow.net or helpflow.com. They both go to the same site. Happy to dig in and make it a good Black Friday, guys. Make sure you're predicting all your abandons, use live chat, and make it a good year. It's going to be a competitive one.
John, you give us undeniable proof on how we can make more money by implementing live chat. And it makes perfect sense. Talking to people and being human is kind of supposed to be part of business. We just forget that when we're online sometimes. I've shared the guide here with everybody. And I think it's also very respectable, John's process. He literally, he will just look at your data and say, we can make you more money than we cost, or he'll look at your data and say, no, we can't make you more money. We shouldn't do business yet. Maybe you have to grow or change things like average order value or margin or something to make it make more sense in the business. But, anybody at, I'd say a stage of kind of scaling, like probably around that 1 million, 3 million, 5 million revenue mark. If your customer service team is bogged down on the post-purchase side, John is like the perfect add-on to that pre-purchase. He can sit there right next to the team, work with them on understanding, how they typically answer questions, but alleviate what's about to be a giant, increase in inquiries over the next 3 months. It's going to be, fun, hair pulling out, late nights for CEOs trying to jump in and put out all the fires. I've seen it year over year. And John, like you said, it's your 6th year. So you're no stranger to this.
Absolutely. I saw a question in here from Dragon of the West. How do we learn the business? If you visit the site, we've got a pretty good video on how we do that part. But no, we do not just look at your product pages and answer questions. We've got like a super methodical intake process where we put you through our onboarding wizard to gather a whole bunch of information. We get access to your help desk and any other customer communication you have, and we pull all that in. And then we basically build a knowledge base based on that and constantly iterate that. So from day one, 6 years ago, we knew if we could learn any e-commerce business, then we could provide a great chat service. And we've done that. We are not the only live chat provider in the marketplace. We are also not the cheapest, but we are the one that actually learns the business the best, because that's all we focused on from day one, and we can prove the ROI. So there's more details on the site. But yes, we can learn any business, whether it's medical device, t-shirts, or industrial parts. We work with all those brands, and we trust for all of them.
I love it. And they are a good partner of Gorgeous as well. So if you're on the Gorgeous help desk, it's easy for them to import. But I think you'll import from pretty much any help desk, I think, to get.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of our clients are on Gorgeous. So we work with a ton of clients where we're on the chat side, the company's using Gorgeous, everything meshes really, really well. So we're platform agnostic. We can work with any e-commerce platform, Shopify, BigCommerce, all the stuff, and then any help desk as well, to be able to get the tickets in there and collaborate on tickets. So super, super simple.
Awesome. John, thanks again so much. Always a pleasure to have you. Look forward to having you back in 2022. And crush it at Black Friday. You're going to make millions for your brands, which is really exciting.
Super excited. You guys take care. Have a great event.
All right.